So I'm curious because I feel like post-COVID,
Hmm.
everything is wellness. There's wellness for your cars, there's wellness for your pets, there's wellness for your house, and there's wellness everywhere. And how would you define, in your view, what wellness at its heart and core is?
The shortest I wrote it down to is balance. And the journey of being in balance would be the full sentence, I think, because you definitely cannot be in balance every day.
Right?
It's trying to find your balance. That's a lifetime journey, the
Mm.
mental, spiritual, and physical balance. Because sometimes one is better and the other one is not. And sometimes all three are good, but that's a few days in a year. So yeah, it's the lifetime journey of trying to find our balance.
Hello and welcome to At the Podium with me, Patrick Huey. At the Podium is a multimedia platform where story by story, we explore the resiliency of the human spirit with people who are using their own personal journeys to leave a positive and transformative imprint on our world today. At the Podium holds a space for meaningful conversation, inspiration, and life. Today, I'm thrilled to share the podium with Belgin Aksoy. Belgin Aksoy is a woman on a mission. Having worked in the tourism and hotel industry for 30 years, she has dedicated her life to create a physically, mentally, and spiritually better world. To that end, in 2012, she founded the internationally successful Global Wellness Day. Billions of people from over 170 countries have participated in the social project that focuses on shifting people's awareness towards living a healthier life. Belgin founded Richmond Nuo Wellness Spa, Turkey's first destination spa and one of Europe's best equipped and award-winning spas. She is a member of the board at Aksoy Group and creative director of Richmond Hotels. In 2016, Global Wellness Institute awarded her with Leading Woman in Wellness, and American Spa awarded her Most Influential Spa Leader. In 2023, she received the Commitment to Excellence in Health and Well-Being, awarded by Seven Stars Luxury Hospitality and Lifestyle Awards. Medica Life also listed Belgin among the top 30 influencers transforming wellness, the only person to be representing Turkey within that list. Belgin, welcome to At the Podium.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Thank you for having me today.
It is such a pleasure to have you on. Now, we have been in each other's spheres for quite some time, but this is probably the first time that we're sitting down and having a proper conversation. So thank you for making time
True.
for that.
True. No, thank you.
And you're in Turkey, so we're on the opposite sides of the world from each other right now. So
Exactly. I'm in
that's
Turkey, Istanbul.
yes, 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 yes. So I wanted to start with this lovely quote that I found from you in Spa Business magazine in the mid teens of the 2000s. And what you
Oh
said
God,
was,
what did I say?
what you said was, living well is the simple necessity for every human being on the planet. To overcome the global problems such as depression and lead a healthier and happier life, we needed an inspiring beginning. That beginning is Global Wellness Day, a day that is now celebrated in more than 100 countries. You went on to say that the main objective of Global Wellness Day is to show that wellness is the right of each individual to make us aware of the value of our lives. I love this quote because you've talked openly about how we need to rewrite the narrative that wellness is a luxury for an individual and not part of the value of their existence and their life. And it shouldn't be tied to their financial circumstances. And I 100% agree with you. One of my biggest concerns that I've been talking about is, are we in danger of creating a haves and haves not scenario in the spa and wellness industry just because to even get a massage today is so expensive. And if you think about some of the more aspirational treatments and services coming on the technology side in these spheres, they can be very, very expensive. And I just wonder, is what's happening just a function of that's the cost of doing business? Or can we, should we, as an industry, be doing better in this regard?
Hmm. I should give a political answer to that, not to hurt anyone, I guess, but I'm not good at it. So I'm going to answer as it comes. We can definitely do better, unfortunately. Of course, we can enhance our wellness depending on where we live and what our financial situation is and what we can afford and what we cannot afford. But I don't really think it's a necessity to have all these, supplements and gadgets and instruments and all these things that we need to buy in order to be well, which means that if we cannot have reach to all these elements, that doesn't mean we are not going to be well. So when I said this, it's probably like over 10 years.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the problem is still there. We still couldn't solve this problem. And I think the reason why Global Wellness Day was enhanced by many people around the world was because we were saying, hey, actually, it's simple to that. It's not a luxury. It's actually a necessity. And you can actually you have reached to wellness in your house, regardless of where you live and what your economical or financial situation is. We actually do know what to eat and what not to eat. And we know how much actually we need to exercise. We know that we need to move. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
So do we really need a watch that tells us to stand up, or do we really need all these apps? Like, don't get me wrong, of course, like I said at the beginning, we can always enhance. If I'm already someone that is doing so much for my wellness, and I'm like at the point, like, what else can I do, like to bring it to the perfection, which doesn't exist, something like perfection. But if I want to do even better, then I can go out and look for these supplements and this watch that is going to tell me it's time for you to stand up, which I'm using one. But that doesn't mean someone that does not using this watch is not or cannot be well, And people around the world, especially with diet, there's this thought like, if I don't do certain things, like I cannot not drink carbonated drinks. So I will also continue drinking junk food as well. So we're always like at the either or situation,
Yes. Yes.
So when people say, I cannot reach this watch, this gadget anyway, so I might as well not exercise, which is like completely the wrong equation.
Right.
Just forget the watch. Yes, if you cannot stop drinking the carbonated drinks, don't drink that, but at least take out eating the junk food. Like, we can always do a little bit better. We don't have to go and look for the perfect way. And our mind is always trying to stop us because our mind wants us to be comfortable. Every time I go to the gym or I wake up in the morning to do my cardio, my mind is telling me, go back to sleep. Just don't bother. But
Don't
I
do
don't
it.
give myself time to listen. By the time it's finishing its sentence, I'm already on the elliptical. I already started because if I give it a moment, then I will listen to it. I'm gonna like skip my cardio that morning. We know better than many people. We are in the industry. We've been here for some time, and of course it's about making money. But is it always about making money? Like at some point, unfortunately, I'm going to say that it's fooling people. It's fooling people to say, take this supplement and you're going to have this, I don't know, this bright skin. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen if you haven't done the simple things, if you're not drinking enough water and if you're not sleeping enough and if you're not
Mhm.
eating well. So we have to make sure that we're talking about the basics And then to the people who can afford it, take that supplement and use that. That I have like no problem with.
Right.
But are we giving the message in the correct way? And especially the teenagers
Mm.
today are getting the message wrong.
Yeah.
That's the feeling. That's the feeling I get. Something is off there.
There's a
Something is
miss.
not right. Yes.
There's a miss. I remember when Global Wellness Day launched.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in the Caribbean at the time, or about to live in the Caribbean at the time. And you've had billions of people around the world engage in this Global Wellness Day, which is amazing if you think about it, that there's something that you've created that can bring a billion people, 1/7 of the population, and probably more. There are things that we probably don't even know are happening together. And I wonder, do you have an opinion? Do you have a thought about why it has resonated in the way that it has globally?
Well, Patrick, when you want something, but when you want something from your heart, I think the whole universe just conspires in order for you to achieve it. You've heard that saying, I think. First of all, I really wanted it from the bottom of my heart, and I wanted it with such good intention. It was not for me. It was for others to realize what I realized, and I felt like that I believe everything happens for a reason in the world. And I did have some health issues in the past, and I got sick and then I got well. And when I got well, I was like, what is this now? Like, if I was gonna get well, why did I get sick?
Mm,
There's something I need to understand here. And that's how it all started.
yeah.
Um, the story of Global Wellness Day. I wasn't planning to create something like this. I was just trying to thank the universe for giving my health back, because I felt like I had to do something. And otherwise, the universe would make me sick again. I had
Mm,
this feeling like, if everything is happening for a reason, then Belgin, get the message. Okay, now you understood the importance of health, and you know that you don't have to be sick in order to understand the importance of health. Okay, that's my sentence. I'm going to live with this, but am I going to keep this for myself, or am I going to share it with as much as people possible? So that's how it all started. And the other reason why Global Wellness Day has succeeded is because, like I said, we kept it totally simple.
mm,
We didn't make it complicated for anyone, especially our 7-step manifesto, for example, is so simple. We say walk for an hour, drink more water, don't use plastic bottles, eat healthy. You don't know how much we thought about that one,
right.
because when it comes to food, there's so many things you can say actually, but we just kept it saying eat healthy. Because like I said, we all know deep down inside, we know what to eat and what not to eat.
Right.
Even though it seems complicated, it's actually not. Have a family dinner, which is one of the ones that I like the most. Unfortunately, today, the reason of obesity that we see with kids, the biggest reason for that is because kids are eating on their own in front of computers or televisions or video games, and they're not actually eating because they're hungry
Mm,
for food, because they're hungry for love and attention. And they don't know what they're eating, how much they're eating. I am coming from a generation that, my dad would come, we would all sit, have dinner. It wasn't like this long, long dinner, but it was like this 20, 30-minute dinner that we would like sit down and have dinner without the TV and have even a short conversation where the family came together. And unfortunately, we don't see this much anymore in many countries. And the other one is do a good deed and sleep at 10. So you actually don't need any financial resources to do any of these 7 steps. And regardless of where you live and what your age is, you can actually take these steps into your life. And without realizing, you will probably add other 70 or 777 other good steps into your life, and you're going to get rid of some more. For example, when you drink more water, you're definitely going to drink less tea, coffee, and carbonated drinks
Yeah.
without even realizing. Because sometimes we just, we think that we're thirsty for tea or coffee or Coke or whatever, but actually, if we did have some water, that was going to, cut the thirst that we have. And eating healthy, just losing a few pounds. People like that lives can change. It's not only about being fit or not, but it just changes the way you hold your body, the way you walk. So it changes, the self-confidence and all your personal relationships, your relationships at work, your success. Just because you lost, 4 or 5 kilos, this can actually happen because you're a different person. You feel different. You
Mm.
talk, you move different. You feel different in your clothes. You feel different when you look at the mirror. You feel good with yourself. So what we say is like, take these 7 steps into your life, and after 365 days, celebrate your own global wellness day, like individually. If you
Mm.
cannot go to any event, let that be your personal global wellness day celebration, because you took those 7 steps into your life. And if you cannot take 7 of them, do 3, do
Right.
4, do 1. But
Yes.
don't go like that either or. Oh, I cannot sleep at 10, so I'm not going to do the other 6. It doesn't work
Right.
that way,
Right.
because it can be very difficult for many countries, Mediterranean countries, to go and sleep at 10 when they go to dinner at 9. So
Right. Okay. Maybe don't do that one, but do the other six.
exactly. Yes.
I love what you're saying because so much of the conversation around wellness today is tied to what kind of technology can I do? How can I lose 40 pounds quickly? And what you're talking about, what you're describing is how can I build relationships with the people in my life? And whatever the word family means for you, it doesn't always mean the sort of people that you're born into. What can I do for my mental health? What can I do for my perception of who I am in the world? Which is a much more broader definition, I think, of where many people are sitting with wellness now, because we all want the Fitbit and we want the Ozempic and and none of that stuff is bad. There's no value judgment around that. But when you start drilling into these more human connections, there seems to be a much more profound reaction. And maybe that's part of why people get so excited about what you're doing, because they don't have to go out and, build an ark in order to
Exactly.
engage in it.
Exactly. Yes.
So I'm curious because I feel like post COVID,
Mm-hmm.
everything is wellness. There's wellness for your cars, there's wellness for your pets, there's wellness for your house, and, there's wellness everywhere. And how would you define succinctly, and you talked about those 7 steps, how would you define, in your view, what wellness at its heart and core is for you?
The shortest I wrote it down to is balance. And the journey of being in balance would be the full sentence, I think, because you definitely cannot be in balance every day.
Right?
It's trying to find your balance, and that's a lifetime journey, the
Mm.
mental, spiritual, and physical balance, because sometimes one is better and the other one is not, and sometimes all three are good, but that's a few days in a year. So yeah, it's the lifetime journey of trying to find our balance. That's how I define it.
Yeah. And I think that's hard for people because we want the answers today and we want to like check the box and then move on. But there is intentionality about an everyday journey that sometimes you get right, sometimes you get wrong. It's not so
Which is totally
prescriptive.
fine. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with it. There's
yeah.
nothing wrong with it. There's unfortunately so many people think they're in depression when maybe they're just spiritually feeling low.
Mm.
There's so many people around the world that are thinking they're in depression when they're not, and they are in depression and they're not aware of,
Mm.
which is another part. It's so sad. It's so sad because we're we're pushed, especially with the social media. And, I use social media as well. And of course, I'm not going to post a picture of me when I'm feeling like very low and I feel like crying the whole day. I don't post that day a picture.
Right.
I post when I feel good, which is, 99% of us do that.
Right.
Uh, I feel really worried about the new generation. And I think, when I say like this, I feel like I'm getting old, but like, our time, we didn't have this problem. There was no such thing. You were just there. Without the social media, I think we were having a better life, even though it has so many advantages. Life is hard nowadays. It's harder. It's really
Yes.
harder. That's why I keep on going back to the kids and the teenagers, that we have to give them the correct message as the wellness and spa industry. And we're
Mm.
not doing that. We're confusing them. They're already confused with so many things that they have in their lives that we did not have. Fortunately, we did not have.
Yeah.
But there's such a competition, and the competition is right there. It's in front of you. In our time, the competition was there if you went to that occasion. But today, the competition is like the moment you open your eyes, it's in front of you. And must be so difficult for them. I have an almost 21-year-old, and I'm doing my best to give the correct decision and the correct message to him. But as Global Wellness Day, we've been within our celebrations and events. I make sure when I have the meetings with the Global Wellness Day ambassadors that I always ask them, please include the kids and the teenagers to your events. Because if we don't give them the correct message, who will?
The technology piece is very compelling in all of this and the access that we have now. But it feels like our technology and our access have our development as a human race has not evolved to that level to where we can engage with those pieces and keep our souls, our awareness safe. It's like what we're able to do from a technical standpoint has far outpaced what we're able to do from a spiritual standpoint. And that
Yes,
creates the friction, I think.
I agree. Yeah. But what do we do?
And we live, we have to live, we have to move forward. And I think, I think it's one day a year that we ask people to focus on this and to really sort of in an intentional way think about it. But something that you said that is sort of resonating within me now, that's sticking with me, is that we oftentimes equate wellness with this idea of happiness and joy, which is appropriate. But I also
Mhm.
think we also have to think about how are we well within the not happy moments and within the darker times. Because it's almost easier to be well when you're happy, when you have everything that you want and you have the things popping and going and everything. But how do we interface with wellness when it's a sad day? That
Exactly.
becomes the test.
It's why we have to make the like underline the difference between happiness and joy.
Mm.
Sadness and happiness, fine, but joy, at least to me, obviously I translated from Turkish to English, and what I understand from joy is that you might be having a very sad day, but that doesn't mean you don't have joy.
Mm.
I when I after being sick and then getting my health back, I gave myself a promise because I knew that I made myself sick and I had thyroid cancer, and I knew that the reason that I got sick because I swallowed my words. I didn't express myself enough. And when I got better, I promised myself that I will never, ever let anyone get my joy away from me. I'm not going to give it to anyone. My joy stays with me. I can have a
Mm.
sad day. I can have a sad week, sad month. It can be very long, but I will always be joyful. I will always make sure that I keep it in me, no matter what is going on. So if we can give this message to the teenagers, then they will know that they're actually not depressed. It's just a bad day. They're sad, which is totally fine because we're human beings and you can
Balance.
have a happy day and a sad day, but the joy is there. And when you have your joy with you, you're never alone
Mm.
because you have your joy with you. So already the loneliness, feeling lonely part gets solved as well. For me, that's how I solved mine. When you're because this soul and this body, your soul is in this body and you live with it and you have to live with it. And if you're actually joyful with what you have, you're actually never alone. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And so many
Okay.
people that I've had the honor of speaking to, we talk about there's happiness is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Joy is where the wealth is. Happiness seems to be very circumstantial. When you're talking about joy, it is a state of being that
Yeah.
exists beyond just the given circumstances that you may be existing within in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. So
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful. I interviewed someone who talked about when he wasn't able to speak about he he spoke and what he spoke was not well received, that he started to eat and he became obese and that made
Mm-hmm.
him sick. And there's something about this when we can't express who we are, what we are, that sort of authentic expression, say the words, that it literally creates disease within our bodies.
We can make ourselves sick and we can make ourselves well as well. We have the power. We just have to be aware of it.
Mm.
We are more powerful than we think we are.
Mm. What do you think that we're getting right in the spa and wellness space around all of this?
Mm, I think we are making the difference of wellness and spa better today than before. We still can do better. But all these definitions that we've been trying to create, with Global Wellness Institute, Susie Ellis, she gave almost her life to try and explain these definitions and make it heard by the world. There's still some confusions, unfortunately,
Mhm.
but I think we managed to give the message as much as possible in many countries. I travel a lot and I go around, and I used to see more places that said that it was a wellness and spa, and then you would go in and it's like, really? So I still see places like that. For
Yeah.
example, it was just the other day I was talking to someone and said, oh, I'm at a spa, and I'm like, oh, and how big is the wet area? And he said, oh, there's no wet area. But I'm like, but you said the spa. Oh,
Yeah.
it's only massage and treatments. So it's not a spa. It's a massage center. It's a massage and beauty center. So there's still the confusion with the definitions, but it's better than before, I think. But
Definitely.
as the wellness and spa industry, we worked quite a lot for those definitions. I think all of us individually trying to explain it in the correct way in our countries. Coming together in these conferences, saying, okay, so this is a definition. This is how we're going to then go to our countries and try to explain it to the people that point of view. It's better now.
It's so funny you say that because, iSpa, which I've been on the board for 8 years now, when they first started, they had to convince people that spas weren't the things in their backyards that were your jacuzzis. And
At least they
so
have a wet area. There's a
it's
jacuzzi,
wet, there's
you
water,
know.
but they're like, no, there are other things that go on. But they had to do a lot of work.
Mm,
around what actually that means when you use those words. That's so funny.
mm,
When we were both at iSpa together a couple of weeks ago, and I was thoroughly impressed with the technology that I was seeing there because there is a space for that. There's a space for that kind of work, and everyone's facing labor issues, etc. Wonder
mhm.
where do you see that intersection of AI and technology with wellness and the human touch? And is it possible that if we remove the human experience from some of these experiences that we're used to, that there won't be a negative impact?
We're not there yet.
Mm.
We still have to go back to basics. I'm very pro technology. depending on, where you use it, if you're using it or if it's using you. But for wellness, I think, going back to what we've been talking about, the basics, and do you know what to eat? Do you know that you're supposed to drink water? Are you doing the basics? If we come to the point of knowing that every single person in the world has understood the fact that, to be well has got nothing to do with your financial resources, then we can maybe get to the point of, using technology and AI and taking the human touch. And I think I see this so far in the future.
Mm.
It will happen for sure. I won't see it, or it will happen that, I don't know, 1% of the population might have access to it, but there's still so much work to do. I go to Thailand for the last 3 years, which I'm going to go again the end of this month, and Shiwason is doing a wonderful
Mm.
job. They're bringing a group of volunteers to the Myanmar border, to this place called No Man's Land.
Mm.
And there they bring food supply, they, clean lice from kids' heads, they do acupuncture and, all these, they bring health supplies. And I see those people, I see those kids, bare feet and completely joyful, and I haven't seen any kids more joyful than anywhere else. They don't have, they have like really little to eat. They have lice on their head, but they're so joyful. And when those people are in that situation, are we really at the point of taking human touch away from wellness and talking about AI in the wellness world? Who are we fooling? Like, yeah, it's doable, I'm sure. It will happen, and some people will take advantage of that, and I'm sure it's going to be so wow. But we still didn't do our homework yet. There's still
Mm.
so much more to do, I think.
Mm.
I can watch it from far, but I don't think I will be like, oh my God, it's wonderful, there's
Yeah.
no human touch and they can do this and they can do that. Yeah, fine. But yeah.
Look, I think we have to wrestle with it. I think because it's here. It's here, and it's not just in our spa wellness space, but I live in LA. I see robots every day delivering food to people. And when we were in Phoenix, the driverless cars, it's
Exactly.
all there. It's what are we going to do with that information? And how do we use it to perhaps improve human connection? I was talking with the founder of Escape, which has created this incredible piece of a device, it's a piece of technology. And he positions it in a really interesting way that he's like, this, as wonderful as it is, it still can't replace the human
Mm-hmm.
connection that happens. This table can't emotionally connect with you the way that a therapist or an excellent personal trainer or a great shaman can emotionally connect to you. And I think that's from his mouth, and this is his business. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the human connection is a premium connection that
Mm-hmm.
hopefully will never go away.
Hopefully, hopefully.
And if it will call upon us as we continue to develop and grow to think about, well, how do we as people interface with this piece of technology, whatever that technology is, and
Mm-hmm.
how do we use it for improvement and not taking away? And oftentimes it's both, things are complicated, but that's so interesting. I wonder, you come from a family of entrepreneurs. So was this always in you? Did you know that you would be doing what you're doing? Or has it surprised you, the path
Mm,
you've taken?
Interesting question. I always knew that I was going to be in the hotel management, hospitality industry. When I say always, I go back to, I think, 12 years old when my family was not in the tourism industry, but we were in the textile industry. Had nothing to do with hotels, but I knew that I wanted to be in the tourism industry because of a TV show, an American TV show, actually,
Which one?
Generation.
Oh, the soap opera?
Yeah. And there was a Sam there. Sam was the public relations manager, and I adored her life because like the whole world was coming to her, and her job was to make people happy. People were coming and saying, "It's our anniversary. What can you organize for us?" All these people were coming and asking her, to organize these happy moments. And she was seeing all these people from all around the world. And I was like, yeah, I have to be working in a hotel. Doesn't matter what I do, but I want to be in a hotel. And so there I knew. Many people think that I chose to be in the hotel industry because my family is in the hotel industry, but actually that's not the case. I started to study hotel management in 1993.
Mm.
And actually, those were the years when we got into the hotel industry. So there's this joke, actually, if you Google my name in Turkish, there's always this interview that comes up with the headline saying, she wanted to be in the hotel industry, and her father bought her a hotel. Like, I'm like, my dad loves me, but not that
Not
much,
that much. I
He's a
love that it
great
was.
businessman.
I love that it was a soap opera, though. That makes me smile in so many ways.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And for Global Wellness Day, and like I said, I had no idea. But there was this, it's funny. There was this future teller once. I went to a future teller twice in my life.
Mhm.
And that one time, it was like a Turkish coffee cup. And she looked at it and she said, you're going to do something that people from even the countries that you don't even know exists will know about it. I'm like, and then when I went to this friend of mine who advised this future teller, I'm like, I mean, this woman is like out of her mind. Can you believe what she told me? She said, like, she told me this, and she's like, oh my God, like that's like far, like that's a long leap. I don't know why she said that. And even she was like, she was looking, she's saying, I don't know what I mean when I say this, but this is what I see. And I didn't think about this until maybe 4 or 5 later that I founded Global Wednesday, and we came all together with these friends of mine, and it was the second time that this future teller thing was on the table, where some of them were thinking about calling a future teller. And one of it said, do you remember, many many years ago we had this woman? And there I froze, because up until that moment I completely forgot about it. I was like, oh my God, that's what she said. Like, I mean, I wasn't planning to tell this story to you, but I don't know where this came from. But I had no idea. Even hearing it from a future teller, I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the universe was ready for it, and I had enough tools, and I believed in myself, and I was so lucky to be surrounded by people that believed in my clean intention. I think that's like very important, because at the beginning, when I started talking about Global Wellness Day, some people were like, but why are you doing this? And when I told them, well, because, I lost my health and now I got it back and I want to make sure I give the message. They're like, yeah, yeah. But like, why are you really doing this? I'm like,
Wow.
I just told you, this is the reason. Some people really try to look for like what's in her agenda, like what's in it for
Mhm.
her. And then people that were like even a lot like very skeptical about global ones, they now became the biggest supporters. And that's the greatest gift actually that
Right.
I can get. Like if they believe, then anyone can believe, because they were
Mm.
like the most skeptical ones at the beginning, which is totally understandable. But yeah, I'm um, I'm glad I was given the chance to create a day that can hopefully be celebrated for many more years.
What do you want your legacy to be, or what do you think your legacy will be?
Oh, totally. Global Wednesday to be in the United Nations official calendar. And so it will be celebrated after I'm gone.
Mm.
Because all this work that we've put, all these people that believed in Global Wellness Day. It would be such a pity if one day it, fades away and it's not celebrated anymore. I don't know, in 20, 30, 40 years. I would like it to be on that calendar so that it will be celebrated after we're all gone.
Mm. It's so
And
interesting that you say that. The woman who did the very first episode of this season said that we leave legacies in people's lives that we don't even know. And I think Global Wellness Day is doing that for people that you will never meet, that you'll never know.
exactly,
We're
exactly. That's
impacting
why I
them.
said we had the Zoom call with our Global Wellness Day ambassadors yesterday, and I thanked them. This was our last call before June 8th. And I said, you don't know the impact that you have on people around the world. And in any moment that you feel low, that you feel like, I wasn't very productive today, please remind yourself that you're an ambassador for Global Wellness Day and you're making a huge difference. And make sure that you tap yourself on your shoulder because you are making a difference. Your work, your energy, your time, which is the most precious thing that you give for Global Wellness Day, you're making a huge difference and you have no idea. And you will never understand how big actually that impact is. I sometimes have to remind myself, especially when every time I watch Global Wednesday around the world video that we prepare, after every second Saturday of June,
Yes.
I watch it and I'm like, wow. As if it's like the first time I'm seeing it. We tend to forget, actually. We tend to get used to some things, and because it's work you do, you run right and left, and you're like you forget actually how much impact you have and how you can change people's lives. I realize it when we receive emails from people across the globe,
Mm.
thanking for Global Wednesday and saying, hey, I ended up at a Global Wednesday event by coincidence. And I learned this, and that, and I changed this, and that in my life. And today I'm at this and that point because of that. You're like, wow. Okay. Only that person's comment is actually enough to say, wow, because you don't know who that person is going to influence.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Global Wednesday ambassadors and key supporters for giving their time and energy to spread wellness for the world, wellness around the world. They're doing an amazing job, and none of this would be possible without them.
So true. So true. Belgin, thank you so much for your time today and for Global Wellness. It's June 8th.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And to all of you who are watching or listening, you can go online to find where there are events happening on that day. Remember, we all have a voice. We all will leave a legacy. Use yours wisely. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Belgin.
Thank you, Patrick.